recording this. There we go. Okay, so now we've got recording going, and I see here, everybody see my little mouse, right? Oh, by the way, let me ask you a question, everybody. Last week in the recorded session, see my little cursor here?
Yeah.
See my little arrowhead?
I can see it.
Okay. Well, did any of you look at the recorded session, and was it there?
I don't remember. I wasn't really paying
What,
attention.
your little red blinking light?
No, the little mouse cursor.
Oh, yeah, I think I've seen your
don't
cursor.
think that it
Was it in the recording?
I only listened to the recording. I didn't really watch it.
Okay.
So that I could
Yeah.
remember certain things.
Okay. The reason I'm asking this is because in my last mod, they weren't able to make the cursor show. So I'm wondering if they've fixed that yet. That's really what I'm worrying about. And I think maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make my mouse appear, hopefully, and I'm even going to apply, let's see here, a spotlight to it. Let's see now. That does it. There we go.
You can actually see that a lot better.
You can see this better?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you seeing a highlight on it, or are you just seeing a mouse? Because I don't see the highlight.
I only see the mouse.
But I just see the cursor.
Let me just try it one more time here, see if I can get this to do this. Where the heck is it? Spotlight. What's that? Is that it? Hold on. What's going on with this? Arrow. I don't want an arrow. I want a spotlight. I'm not getting a spotlight. What's going on with this?
Oh, it's when you click down.
Oh, is that what it is? You got to click to get the spot? I'm doing it. It's not giving me a spotlight. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this. There it is. There's a spotlight. Now it's there. Now I saw it. See it?
There we go.
Okay. All right. The only reason I'm doing this is because if I'm still not getting the cursor to show, see, this upsets me, because the bottom line is you need to see as much as possible about what I'm going to be doing. And I'm hoping that they're showing the mouse and not just the cursor, because the mouse changes. I mean, when I get into Illustrator and InDesign, the cursor changes, and I want you to see that as well as everything else that's going on. It just makes it easier for you. I think they'll get that fixed eventually, but I'm not sure whether they've done that yet or not. So that's the only thing I just wanted to mention to you. So who else is here now? We got Adam is here, and DJ, are you new or are you here before? Were you already here, or did you just sign in?
Oh, last one.
I just got back in. My real name's Deborah.
Okay, Deborah. I'll try to remember that, although I have to tell you something. I suffer from multiple forms of ADD. So I can't remember numbers, and I have a real hard time remembering names. It just drives me crazy. So
Well, we have the same things in common. Yay.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't feel quite as alone then. So everybody so far is okay with the course, where we're going with this and what's going on? Any issues or any questions or any problems you want to address while we have the time? Because in a minute we're going to start cooking on this. So I'll give you a chance. If you want to talk now, talk. You're good?
I'm having problems with the link to get logged in to Zoom. It keeps telling me I'm not authorized.
You're here now.
I have to actually, I had to link into Zoom, and then I had to find your phone number that we use for Zoom. Fortunately, I posted it last week on Facebook, and that's how I got in.
Okay.
But the one that's for class, it tells me I'm not authorized.
Yeah,
Mine tells me that too. I just have to.
Yeah, what I would do is when you get out of class tonight, maybe tomorrow, go into Canvas and get some technical support. They will help you straighten it out.
Okay.
All right.
Last time I did that, they told me it was something that you did. So,
I did?
yeah,
I just
or
logged
something you're
in.
supposed to link in, or I don't know. I forget now.
I just logged in.
They
I
said
don't
it was
know.
something that you had to do.
Something I had to do? All right.
Yeah,
well, you know what, maybe-
I'll pastor them tomorrow
Yeah.
or later on tonight, and
Tell
then
them that your instructor
email.
wants to know. Tell them your instructor wants to know specifically what it is he has to do, and he'll do it. Or if they really want Yeah, tell them that I will give them a ring. You send me an email. Let me know what they tell you, and then I'll deal with it. If they
Okay.
tell me to call them, then I'll do that.
Okay.
All right. Any
They
questions?
seem to think some setting that you have to do, but I don't know what they're talking about. So.
I don't know either, because everybody's getting in but you, and it doesn't seem that, it would be affecting one and not everybody. So
No, I can't get in that way either.
yeah,
I
and
have to
I
go
will-
and put the number in.
yeah, I'll be happy to do it too. So I'm sure we'll get it straightened out. And by the way, just so that you know, I got 5 of you here. I like the fact that it's nice and quiet in the background. It's great. So that means I can leave everybody's mic going. So once I get cooking with what we're going to be doing tonight, you can chime in periodically to ask questions about what I'm doing. I like that very much for 2 reasons. Number one, because this is a class, and a class is something that goes on between a student and an instructor. So if I shut the mics down, then it's just me talking at you, and I have to recognize you to let you in. This is a lot more immediate, and I like that. And it also gives me the opportunity to deal with issues that might be popping up at the moment. Okay, so just keep that in mind. We'd like to keep the background noise down to a quiet level so we can keep going with this. So tonight we got some fun stuff. I think this is fun. We're going to take, I sent you guys a logo, an aqua logo. And what I'm going to teach you tonight is how to take that aqua logo and convert it into Pantone color. We're going to be creating for our project this week a business card. I don't know whether you read the assignment yet or not, but the assignment calls for it to be 3 color, not 4 color process, 3 color. That means essentially you can have 3 separate Pantone colors, right? And you guys read a little bit about Pantone color, so I think you're getting an idea already about what Pantone color is, right? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yep.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, so Pantone color is a color that is an independent, solid color that will print on its own unique plate. Just like CMYK is a process series of colors that print on their own plate, but they lay on top of one another to create your full experience of color in your print. This, on the other hand, is a single color. It prints on its own plate. And it's used usually in situations where you're going to be printing no more than 3 color. Okay? So that's what this card is. This card will be 3 colors. Now you're going to use, it's up to you, but you're going to probably use 2 Pantone colors and black. That's generally what you will use. Okay? I am going to be demonstrating first how to take the logo and produce the logo as a 2-color logo using Pantone colors. If you don't do this, your project will not work. Not just for me, but if this were a real project, it would not work. The printer would not be able to do this. So it is absolutely essential for you to know how to go into the program, such as Adobe Illustrator, and ask for specifically a spot color or a Pantone color. So that's the first part of this project. The second part of the project is I'm going to demonstrate for you how to create your document in both Illustrator and InDesign. Personally, I would prefer it if you work with Adobe InDesign. I am not going to demand that you do it, though, because they do give you the option of either InDesign or Adobe Illustrator. So I will accept either or, but I would prefer that you use InDesign, and I'll tell you frankly why. As a graphic designer, eventually you are going to be expected to do things in the most professional way. And creating graphic layouts such as this in a program like Illustrator is not the right way to go. So, I mean, again, I will let it be up to you how you choose to do this. And as a matter of fact, my intention is to show you how to do both, how to create the file in Illustrator and create the file in InDesign. Then
Is it just me, or is everybody losing sound?
No.
I think it's just you.
Okay, because my volume keeps going up and down.
Oh, yeah. I got a big mouth. I'm speaking loud. I'm sure you're hearing me.
Well, yeah, I hear you, but it just keeps going in and out. That's why I asked.
Okay. It might be your connection or something. I'm not sure. I'm hearing you beautifully, but I know I speak very loud. I'm a loud mouth. I really am. Everybody tells me that. So the final thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you the proper way to save these cards for the printer for me. So we're going to be discussing how to take the logo, which is an integral part of this project, and get it ready for spot color printing, Pantone printing. That's the first thing. Second thing, I'm going to show you how to put your card together using Illustrator and InDesign, so you can use either one of those two programs. I'm going to demonstrate just a couple of little things about putting some elements onto those documents that you create, just enough so that I'm not going to build the whole thing. As a matter of fact, I got one of them built. I'm going to then show you how to export them. And what you're going to be exporting them to tonight is just to Adobe PDF. The important thing for you to understand about the way you export them tonight in PDF is you have to have printer's marks on them. So I'm going to be discussing all this because that's what we're doing. So right now, even though there is some color in here, we are moving slightly away from the color aspect of this course. And we are now starting to work into some of the more technical production and stuff that goes on within this course. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Any questions about what I'm saying so far?
Nope.
Okay, you guys ready to go?
Let's go.
Yep.
All right, here we go. We're going to start off by going into Adobe Illustrator, opening it up. Here's my card. This is the card that we're going to be creating, okay? I'm going to switch over to my, take a look at it real quickly, okay? Just note that I'm using a color scheme here for my Aqua Excursions. This is an Aqua Excursion company where you take boat trips, okay? So I'm going to switch over to the Aqua logo. You guys all should have received from me a link, or actually a file that you could download that's this Aqua logo. Did you guys get that yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got it. So you know what I'm looking at here is something similar to what you got, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the deal. This logo somebody created. It's not complete. First of all, it's got colors that make no sense whatsoever. And this was part of the thing I wanted to explain to you. You know, a lot of what goes on here is me showing you how to do things. And it also me discussing how you think about things. Okay, so now we're looking at this logo. And we're saying to ourselves, the artwork looks really good. I mean, I could agree with the Aqua, and I like this little symbol here, and the word exclusions work fine from a creative standpoint. The color does not work at all. I mean, does any of you get a particularly Aqua-esque feeling looking at these colors?
Nope.
No. No, and I don't either. So what I intend for you to do is I intend for you to go in and convert these to Aqua Pantone colors. I could tell you what colors to use, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you where the colors are, and I'm going to explain all about those colors, and I'm going to let you creatively pick your own 2 Aqua colors. I'll show you how I do it, and I'll show you the colors I pick, but I'll allow you to pick your own Aqua colors. So in a way, you're creating your own style with this a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So we have our elements here. And by the way, just so that you know, this is Adobe Illustrator. And you take a look when I select that Aqua. Can you see that this Aqua is no longer live text? You know what I'm talking about?
You turned it into outlines.
That's right. Exactly right. This is no longer, one time this was text, but we've created an outline. And there's some weird thing going on here, which I don't exactly know what it is, but I can fix that. I'll show you in a minute. I also want to show you when I click on the word excursions, I get the same thing. Can you see that? Same thing. It's basically no longer active text. So the first thing that I want to tell you is when you create a logo like this, and one day you're going to create a logo like this. It may be, I mean, I'm not saying you have to create this logo specifically, but somebody's going to give you the task of putting together a logo. This logo is what's known as a combination mark. And even though it's not a great example of a combination mark, what a combination mark is essentially, it's a combination of text elements right there, and a symbol. You all know what a symbol is? A graphic symbol?
Yes.
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 It's basically some kind of a creative little graphic indicia or a shape. So that's what this is. And that's called a combo mark, combination mark, okay? So this combination mark, we're going to ultimately play around with its color. Before we even get into this, though, I want you to take a look at the swatches panel. Whenever you open a new file, this is what your swatches panel look like. And I don't know, I think I actually mentioned this last week in my lesson last week, didn't I? About the swatches and how we get rid of those colors and why we do it. Did I mention that? Do any of you remember me talking about that?
Yes. Yes. That was a great hint. I love it.
Okay, well, guess what? I got the same thing going on here, and I deliberately did this not just to be dull and repetitious, but because I want you to understand how important this whole thing is to the process, okay? So I've created this logo. Actually, I didn't create this logo. Somebody created this logo. They use these colors, which I think are inappropriate. We're going to modify that. So what I'm going to do, start off with, is I've got my swatches panel open, and we will be using the swatches panel in this part of the exercise. So it is kind of important for you to open your swatches panel and make sure that you do what I'm doing here. So it's really simple. I'm just going to come over here, click on this drop-down menu. Excuse me. And I'm going to select all unused. And it always, the same thing happens. I get all my colors selected. I hit the garbage can. Do I want to delete these swatches? Yes. And now they're all gone except this little one, which I'm not sure why it doesn't go away, but I'm going to click on it and delete it. Now, yes. Now I want to show you something. I have one color right here. See it? So what I've done is I've actually taken that color and I've put that color into my swatch library. And when I sit over top of it, you see what it is? It's an RGB color. RGB has absolutely nothing to do with print. So that color is in its present state worthless to us. But that's okay, because the bottom line, we don't even want that color. We want blues. We want something that looks aqua-esque. And that's part of the assignment, for you to take this logo and beautify it by adding colors that are appropriate for the theme. So does that make sense? Do you understand what I want you to do?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to hit delete, and delete the swatch. Now, the thing is that these colors are still being used out here. So I could reload those colors in here, but I'm not. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to change those colors. So here's how we do this. Right now, I have my swatches panel exactly the way I want. Now, we're always going to have the none, the registration, the white, and the black. We're not going to get rid of them. They're always there. We're going to leave them alone. I probably am going to use black for one of my colors, and I'm going to create 2 PMS colors. Okay? So the first thing...
Sorry.
What?
Okay. I'm not the only one that thought that was funny.
What happened?
Nothing. Just continue.
Okay. All right. So here's the deal. Let me just quickly say one thing. The card that you are going to be making, it's supposed to be a two-color, two-sided card. Personally, I don't care if it's a one-sided or a two-sided. What's most important to me is that you do all of these steps correctly. That's what's more important to me. I don't care whether you do a one-sided card or a two-sided card. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for you to go in and create nice colors using the appropriate colors, which will be Pantone, and then you do the proper layout that will have the bleeds that are required. Do you guys know what a bleed is? Have you ever heard of the term bleed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll talk more about it in a minute. You know what crop marks are?
I don't know if we've used crop marks yet.
Do you know what they
Sarah
are,
has a
though?
question.
Do you have
Sarah
any
has a
idea what Thought Mark
question.
is?
Sarah wants to know if about the logo. She didn't get it.
Tell her to send me an email, and I will.
It's in the
Oh, wait a
announcement.
minute. No, it's in the announcements. Tell her it's in the announcements.
Well, she can hear you. She just has her mic muted
Oh.
because her baby's talking.
Okay, Sarah, there, right? Am I right, guys? Didn't you get yours from the announcements?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's in the announcement.
Yeah, so it's in the announcements. You should be able to get it from the announcements. If any of you have any trouble with any of this stuff, you know what to do. You give me a call. Okay. Oh, by the way, have any of you spoken to our assistant trainer?
No.
No, not yet.
I love Tara.
Oh, you've talked to her?
Yes.
Yes.
I have.
Okay. So you guys know that there is Tara, and which one of you said that you spoke to Tara?
Emmy.
Emmy, did you do any work with her yet?
I did a little bit with her this last week, but I've done with her in a past mod.
Good. Okay. Well, that's very good. I'm glad to hear that. So you all know now that you have Tara, and she will help you, definitely. But also don't feel
Yeah.
afraid to give me a call. I will also help you if you need the help. So you can either call myself or you can call Tara, and you'll get the help that you need. Okay? All right. Let's get back to this. There's two things that we want to do here right now. The first thing is a real easy thing. The second thing is a little bit more tricky. So let me explain that. This is a 3/3 card. I don't care if you only make it a one-sided card and you leave the back blank. That's totally up to you. What I'm concerned about is that you execute all these things correct. That's what really counts to me. Okay? So first thing is the business card is going to be on what's called coded stock. Have any of you ever heard of coded stock? What coded stock is?
Nope.
Okay. What they do is they take paper and they either laminate through a heat process or they do a liquid coating of a material which is kind of like a plasticky mylar-y slick surface. So it's actually a surfaced paper. And I'm sure you've seen cards and different things that have that slick surface. You find it an awful lot on postcards, okay, and business cards. So this is going to be done on a coated stock. So when we go in to get our Pantone color, I think you'll remember from your reading that they say that there are different books of Pantone color, right? Do you remember them mentioning that? There are different books,
Yes.
meaning more than one, right? You guys remember reading about that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you where you go to find your Pantone color books. And then I'm going to talk about them a little bit, and I'm going to show you which one I want you all to open. So here we go. I'm going to go to the window menu right here, right? See where I am?
Yes.
Yes.
Click, and it's going to drop down, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. And you see where it says swatch libraries?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And look over here. You can see all these swatch libraries. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to color books. See it? So it is window,
Oh.
swatch library, color books. Take a look at all the color books. Okay. So probably all these color books here, you probably won't have too much use for. I've never used any of these. And the Toyo and True Match, I've never really used them either. And I'm not saying that you won't. I just don't know whether you will or you won't. I have not. I have worked with the Pantone books. And what you have here are a series of different books that are for different types of situations. Here is CMYK coded and CMYK uncoded. So this is Pantone plus CMYK. So what that essentially means is that the Pantone colors that are in there are also usable in 4-color process, CMYK, okay? The reason I'm not using them is because I want to show you how to convert. And if I use them, then I don't really have to convert. So I'm going to go down here, and there, of course, there's Color Bridge coded, Color Bridge uncoded, metallic coded. These are all different books of all different colors. And at one point or another, you'll learn about them, and you'll probably use them. The two that you will probably be using the most, actually the 4, CMYK coded, CMYK uncoded, they're the ones that you're going to use a lot. Pantone solid coded, Pantone uncoded solid. So I am going to choose, and I'd like you to Pantone solid coated. So do you all see where I am and how I got this? You made notes so you know how to get there, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let go, and up pops my Pantone Plus solid coated book or panel. And look at this, as I scroll this thing down, look at all the colors. See all the colors?
Wowza.
There's literally hundreds of colors in here. This is where, as I told you, I could assign colors and tell you to go find those colors. But what I think I would rather do is I would rather allow you the freedom to go in and pick your own aqua colors and get the experience of doing a little bit of creative stuff yourself. Okay? This is very simple. What you're going to do is, and again, take a look at your logo. This logo here, this area of the logo and that area of the logo is kind of light colored, and this is kind of dark. So I would think the logical thing that you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to select something in a range of blue. Totally up to you where you go with this. Okay, I mean, these are all nice blues. I kind of like these blues up here. I also like these blues down here. I even like it when we start getting into the greens. Although I think I'm going to probably stay away from the greens and go more for the bluish color, maybe with a little bit of green to it. Okay? And whenever I do this, and I've done this exercise a number of times, I always pick different colors just so it doesn't get boring to me. Okay? So what I think I'm going to do is, for the light color, you know, I actually think I want to go with that color right there for the light color. You see where I am? Pantone 7695C. Now, how do I get that color into my swatches library? All I have to do is double click it. And see what happens? It goes right into my swatches library. Now, could that be any easier?
No.
No.
Absolutely easy. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find myself some nice contrasting darker blue. So what I think I might do is I might go with that one right there. That's kind of a nice color. Pantone 3015C. Yeah, probably be good enough. And I'll double click that. And now I have my colors. And I'm going to close that up. So any questions or any problems with what I did so far?
No.
Okay, now let me
Good.
show you something. When I sit, and I'm not clicking anything, I'm just going to sit over top of that. You see what it says, Pantone 7695C. So what this is telling you is that, unlike, watch what I do here. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to drag that color into here. This color is RGB color. See what I'm showing you here?
Yes.
This color is a Pantone color. Now, I want you to notice a Pantone color is what's also known as a spot color. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take a look at that greenish color and take a look at that bluish color right next to it. What's the difference between the two colors?
The little thing in the corner.
That's right, the little thing in the corner. So when you take a look at that color and you see that there's that little thing in the corner, what that little thing in the corner is telling you is that it is, in fact, a spot color. That's a symbol for a spot color. So when you look at this, you know now that you have your two spot colors in there, and you can easily identify it by seeing the little thing in the corner. And when you roll over and just sit on top of it, you can see what the Pantone color is. Easy?
So far.
Okay, do you guys think that you could do this?
Yeah.
All right, and you're going to go in, and what you're going to do is you're going to choose, you're going to clean out your swatches, and again, I'm going to clean out my swatch, okay? And now I have my colors, because I am going to use in my production black and these two blues. Those are going to be my colors. Black is black. The printer will know to use black, but he has to know the Pantone colors. So that's why I'm choosing these colors. And in a minute, I'm going to talk more about this, but I want to get into showing you how I apply these colors. So I click on this guy and click, and I have my color placed in there. Then I'm going to click on this and click, and then click on this. And you can either go with the lighter blue here like that. I think maybe I'm going to go with the darker blue like that. Okay? So now what I have is I have my two Pantone color logo, right? How do you know it's a Pantone color logo? Anybody?
You just took them from the Pantone book.
Exactly. So what I'm basically doing is I am using my Pantone solid coded book. Remember what I told you. This is going to be printed in solid color on a coded stock. Okay? So you're looking for the Pantone Plus solid coded, and you're going to pick 2 colors. And when you put the 2 colors in there, you should see the little spots in the corner, meaning that they are essentially spot colors or Pantone colors, which essentially means the same thing. Okay? My logo right now is ready for me to move into the production of my printed card. All right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one more technique. Right now, let me close this up for a second because I'm done with that for a second. Take a look at this card. You'll see that the artwork, the Aqua Excursions logo, is floating in this artboard, this huge artboard. See the huge artboard here?
Yes.
Yeah, it's way too big. I don't need the artboard to be that big. Believe it or not, if I were to go in and save this thing for use in my projects, that artboard being that size would also be saved, and you would end up having a huge artboard associated with this logo, and that just is no good. So what I'm going to do, let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to find my artboards. There we go. There's my artboard. See it? My artboard panel. And I'm going to come into my menu right here, my drop-down menu. I'm going to choose Artboard Options, okay? So you're going to get your artboard panel out. You know where to find that, right? Window, Artboard, see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Window, Artboard menu, and choose Artboard Options. And you get your Artboard Options dialog box, right? And I also want you to notice that you get these marks where you can actually resize this. But I'm not going to use them. I got another trick. I'm going to come over to the preset. See where it says preset right there and it says custom?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to use that little drop down. And notice the first one that's highlighted. What does it say?
Fit to artwork bounds.
Aha. Fit to artwork bounds. So what that means is essentially if I choose this, it's going to take the artboard and make the artboard just big enough to cover the artwork that's on it. Now watch. Boom. And I'm going to hit OK because that's all I'm going to do. So now you see what I've done is I've taken my artboard and I've made it just big enough to fit my artboard or the art that's on it. Do you understand why I'm doing this?
Yeah, so when you move it into your InDesign file.
Yeah, I don't have all that extra space outside there, what I don't need.
Yep.
So all these things from a production standpoint, these little things that we're doing like this will ultimately make you a better graphic designer because you're using these basic, simple production techniques to create a really nice version of your logo. So now that I've done all this stuff, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up to the File menu, and I'm going to go Save As. And I have my Week 2 folder open up. And I'm going to change this from Aqua Logo Start. See what it says there? I'm going to change this to underscore Aqua Logo underscore, and I'm going to call this Pantone, Pantone. So Aqua Logo Pantone, and I'm going to hit Save. Okay, come on, there we go. And in the Illustrator Options dialog box, the versions, you know what, when it says versions like this, do you know what they mean by versions? Anybody?
What version of Illustrator, like CS5, CS4?
Yeah. And why am I mentioning? Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Because look, when I drop it down, see what it is? It's Illustrator CS5, CS4, CS3. Let me explain to you why I'm going to the trouble of mentioning all this to you at this point, because last week I was working on a project with another student that I have, and she was asked to convert the files to a legacy version, which means essentially one of the older versions. she was asked to convert it to Illustrator CS5. So I'm just pointing this out to you because even though you guys have got CS6 and I got CS6, there's always somebody out there that might have an older version, and you got to know how to change it when somebody asks you to. Okay?
So, like, right now I'm like outside of school, I'm doing a project that I'm using Illustrator for. So if they don't have the same version I have, I can convert it from there.
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Right there.
Cool.
Okay? So I'm going to hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is, did somebody ask me a question? No?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to do this because I want to show you this. Since we're here, we might as well do this at the same time. I am going to go to the File menu again, and I'm going to go Save As. And this time, I'm going to call this, instead of Aqua Logo Pantone, I'm going to call this Aqua Logo Process, Process, Aqua Logo Process. Save. Now, why am I doing this? Here, come on. And again, Illustrator CS6. I'm not going to mess with any of this stuff. Hit OK. Okay. Notice now that this says Aqua Logo Process. Let me explain to you why I'm doing this. This logo is the logo that you are going to use. This is, say, a company logo. Your corporation uses this logo. You're the designer that's preparing this art. You want to prepare this art properly. One of the things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a process version and a Pantone version, because there will be times when you will have to use a Pantone version. Like, for instance, later on tonight when we get to our card, you're going to want to use the Pantone version. And later on when you do the brochure, which will be in a week from now, you're going to need the process version. So I could show you that next week, but I'm showing it to you tonight because I actually got something even more fun I want to show you next week. So essentially what I'm showing you is, and let me really show you this. I'm going to go to Print Production. That's the folder where I got all this stuff in. I'm going to go to my week 2, and I want you to see this right here. See what I got here? There's my Aqua Logo Start. Can you see that?
Yep.
That's the file that I started out with. That's the file that's incorrect. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what I did was I came in here and I created the Aqua Logo Pantone, which has been converted to Pantone color. And then I took the Aqua Logo Pantone and turned it into a process version for process color. However, I have not yet converted the color to process. So that's what I'm going to show you now, and then we'll be done with this. Okay? So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to come back in here. Remember, I'm in the Aqua Logo Process file. This is the Aqua Process color, and we still are working with Pantone color, right? See them? Now, again, this is a very simple thing to do. I'm going to take that color, double click on it, and I get my swatch options dialog box. See it? And the swatch name is Pantone 7695C. See it? Now, look at what it says here under color book. See what it says color book? I'm sorry, color mode. See where it says color book? We have different color modes. And one of the color modes is color book. One is grayscale. One is RGB. One is HSB. One is CMYK. One is lab. And one is WebSafe RGB. Each one of those are used for slightly different things. The web and the RGB are used when you're working on web colors. CMYK is when you are working with 4-color process printing. So right now, this color in this file, and remember, we're in Aqua Logo Process now. So I'm going to change these. I'm going out of my way to do this. I'm going to choose, instead of color book, I'm going to choose CMYK. Notice when I do that, the color type comes available. See it highlight? And I can click on this, and I can drop it down, and you see where it says process color. See that?
Okay.
So now I click on process color and check it out. I have my process color here. It's the color mode is CMYK, which relates to process color. And I want you to take a look over here when When I hit OK and I deselect this, notice what happened to the color chip in your swatches panel. Somebody tell me what happened.
The little spot disappeared.
Why?
We changed it from being a spot color to a process color.
You couldn't have said that better. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This now, when I sit on top of it, look what it says. Pantone 7695C, but it is a Pantone color, okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to change the color mode. Now, do you know what a color mode is? Do you guys remember from reading what a color mode is? Anybody? A color mode is a range of color. So color books have a range of colors, a mode. RGB has a range of colors. CMYK is the color mode that I want. I'm choosing CMYK. And again, what happens here is when you come up with this, you now get this color type availability, and you can click on it and change it to process color. Now, there's one other thing that you could do here if you want, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Up here under the swatch name, if you want, you can change the name to C. Watch what I do here. I'm going to type in C-100, and then I'm going to hit space, Y-58, and then space. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. M, not Y, M. I messed it up. I'll fix it. M, 58, and Y-20. And I'm just rounding these numbers, that's all. And then I'm going to go with K, and I'm going to put dash, and that's going to be 4. And I'm going to hit OK. And so now, instead of saying Pantone 7695C, this is going to say CMYK, and it shows you the CMYK colors. Now, whether you do that or not is totally up to you, because having this saying Pantone 7695C, perfectly okay to do that, because that's what that process color will be based on. Does that make sense to you guys, what I'm showing you here? Any questions at all about any of this? Because that's really it. I mean, I've basically shown you what you need to know to create these colors. Now, remember that this particular logo is now a process color logo. Now, what you have to remember is if somebody were to say to you, I need you to create a version of this as a TIFF file, I'm sorry, as a EPS file, which I'm going to do in a minute, you would go in and you would use the process color if it's going to go into 4-color process printing. But if it's going to be a 3-color job, you would use the Pantone one, Pantone logo. So what I've done, in fact, is, and again, I think, let's see, I got to open this up to show you. Again, if we go back to week 2, I have my Aqua logo Pantone, Aqua logo process. And this is basically how you create a logo. You set it up for a Pantone version and a process version. Does that make sense? Everybody cool with that? We good? Understand what's going on? Any questions you want to ask me? Do it now. No?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to go File, Close, because I'm done with this for now. Save changes to the process one? Yes. Now that's saved and ready to go. I'm going to go File, Open Recent Files, and I'm going to reopen the Aqua logo Pantone. Okay, because remember, this week we're working on Aqua logo Pantone. We're going to use this in our productions. Okay, so that's the one that I'm going to create. Now, let me explain to you about the file formats that you're going to use here. If you're going to use this in Adobe Illustrator, which I'm going to show you in a minute, well, actually, it's right here. There is my Aqua logo being used in an Adobe Illustrator file, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about this in a minute. You can just copy and paste this right in place here, size it, and you're good to go. And then in the end, you'll export this. That's really how I did this. I just went in here, and I selected the entire logo, and I went Edit, Copy, and then I came over to my here, and I went Edit, Paste, and then I sized it right? That's nothing. You guys know how to do that. You don't need help with that, right? Make sense? That's in Illustrator. In InDesign, though, you guys familiar with InDesign? Any of you not know what InDesign is? You guys know what InDesign is? Anybody?
We just had InDesign last mod.
Okay, so you do
We had
know.
it last mod, but the teacher wasn't, so.
You know basically how to work with it. I'm going to demonstrate how you build the actual. I'm going
That'd be
to
great.
I'm going to show you how to build the actual card art in Design.
InDesign is the program that crashed my computer.
It
And
did.
there were several other whose computers crashed also.
I'm not demanding. Listen to me. I'm not demanding. I'm
it.
not demanding that you do it in InDesign. I'm simply putting it this way. To be totally professional, you really should use InDesign. However, if it proves to be a problem for your computer at this time, then you can do it in Illustrator, because I'll demonstrate how to set the file up in Illustrator and how to export that as well. I intend to give you the option of doing it either way for now, okay?
Okay.
But I'm
Yes,
just saying,
thank you.
in reality, as a graphic designer, you got to learn to do things the right way. That's why it's important to learn something about Adobe Illustrator, because the kind of work that we're working on with this logo right here is absolutely essential to do in Adobe Illustrator. You don't want to do this in Adobe InDesign. I'm sorry, InDesign or Photoshop for that matter. You really want to do this particular type of thing in Adobe Illustrator. Just like when you're working with photos and you're going to be making photo montages, you don't want to do that in Illustrator. You want to do that in InDesign. So it's really a matter of just knowing to use the program in the right way. And when you create things like business cards, brochures, flyers, all these different things, posters, you should really do that type of layout work in Adobe InDesign and import your elements. And the next thing I'm going to start doing now is demonstrating how to do the exporting of files for that purpose. All right, so you guys with me so far?
Yep.
No questions, right?
Not now.
All right, so here we go. This is the Aqua Excursions logo. I'm going to demonstrate how you can export this for print. Now, there are file formats that you can use for print and for the web. This course, we focus primarily on print, so I'm not going to get into a discussion on any of the web stuff. And I'm mostly trying to keep it sort of isolated to the project that we're working on this week, which is the little card, and next week, which will be the brochure. So once I get to the brochure, I'll talk to you a little bit about Photoshop and show you a little bit of how Photoshop works. But for this week, I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to talk to you about the file formats that you should be working with in Photoshop, because bitmaps and vectors are different animals and they are handled differently. We're dealing with vectors right now. So what you want to know is when you actually are ready to export this logo, which we're right here, we're right now, we're ready to go. This is going to be exported either as an EPS file, EPS meaning encapsulated postscript file, or PDF, which is a portable document file. And let me explain what an EPS, an encapsulated postscript file. It's an encapsulated postscript file is a file that's very much like a bitmap, but has some of the characteristics of a vector. And a PDF, a portable document file, essentially is a kind of a file that will collect all the data into it and sort of package it and make it so that you can you don't have to do things like packaging, because it pre-packages the whole thing for you. When we get into InDesign later tonight, I'll talk a little more about this. Next week, I'll talk a lot more about it, because we're going to be actually making a trifold brochure. And that one you're going to have to do in Adobe InDesign. So hopefully you'll get your InDesign programs ready to go by then. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to show you how to save this logo Pantone AI as 2 file formats for importing into your Adobe InDesign document, your business card. So you go to the File menu, and you're going to come down and choose Save as Copy. And you're going to, I'm going to go to my desktop, all right? And I'm going to create a new folder. See what I'm doing here? I'm going to my desktop. I'm going to create a new folder, and the new folder is going to be called Exports, E-X-E-O-R-T-S, Exports. See it? And I'm going to change the file name. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on that to open it. You can see there's nothing inside here. Right now, I'm getting ready to save this file, Aqua Logo Pantone. I'm going to save it as a copy into into Exports, okay? So I'm going to change this first here. I'm going to come down, I'm going to choose EPS. See it? Illustrator EPS. See it?
Yeah.
So now, instead of Adobe AI, it's going to be EPS. See how I did that? And I'm going to change the name of this. I'm going to just come down here and choose it as, set it as Aqua Logo Pantone EPS. Okay? So really, in Exports folder on the desktop, Aqua Logo Pantone, and the file format is EPS. Good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Hit Save. And this is the EPS options dialog box. The most important thing for you to understand is the version. And more than likely, if the printer doesn't tell you to change the version, that you just leave it to version CS6. This is something I want to mention to you. At some point, when you're producing something like this, a card, it's really a good idea to have a little discussion with the printer to find out, when you create these files, what version of the programs, and the programs that I'm talking about is Adobe Creative Suite, which versions they have. Now, you would say to yourself, well, gee, wouldn't he have CS6? You would like to think that he would have CS6. But I'm going to tell you flat out, I had a situation last week where one of my students did that very thing, called up the printer and was asking for this information that I told her to do. And the printer said, yeah, we need version CS5 right there. So we would not have sent it that way. And what would have happened is the printer would have contacted us and would have said, I need you to send it to me again in version CS5. But because we asked that question, we were able to switch it to CS6, and we did not have that problem. So it really does make sense for you to be asking the printer at some point what he needs when you create this stuff. Does that make sense to you? See, again, remember what this is. This is a production class. This is a class where I am talking to you in the short time that I have about as many different things that you would probably want to know about the production or the technical aspects of creating these different pieces of art. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you understand what I'm getting at with this, and does it make sense to you, so that you know basically you're going to talk to the printer, why you're talking to the printer, why you would be doing this? So the next thing is preview. The format that's set in default here is TIFF 8-bit color, and usually you have TIFF black and white or TIFF 8-bit color or none. It doesn't make any sense to have a preview of none or black and white when you're working with color. So normally you would just stay with the format of TIFF 8-bit color, which is the default. Now this button here is important because the bottom line is you have a choice here. If this goes opaque, and what's going to happen is you're going to have a white background, like the white background that you see here. But if it's transparent, this is selected. You can see the little spot in the middle of it. This is going to be almost as though we're on a transparent piece of glass. This background won't be white. It'll be transparent. That's what you want. So this EPS is going to be in Illustrator CS6 with a TIFF 8-bit color. Now, the other thing is, see where it says fonts here, embed fonts for other applications? Do you think you need that? And why or why not?
Not now, because we turned the font into outline.
Perfect. You are absolutely dead right. So I can deselect that. And notice when I do that, a few other things go off down here. Okay? As far as include CMYK PostScript and RGB files, I mean, you can leave this if you want, or you could deselect that as well. And basically then at this point, what you're mostly concerned about right now is that the Illustrator EPS is set TIFF 8-bit color. Okay, those are the most important things for you right now. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. And you see now it's rewriting the file. Unlike the Adobe Illustrator file, this rewrites the file. So that's basically your EPS file. Any questions about that? It didn't seem too difficult, did it?
No.
No.
But if it's transparent, would that be like for printing on different colored, like stock, like say
No.
you're going to print that on?
No.
No.
It means that the background isn't going to be white. So if you were to put that aqua excursions over top of a color background of some kind. Yeah. Not that paper. You wouldn't be printing with darker paper, but you might be printing with a band of color, and you might sit that logo over a band of color.
Oh, okay.
In that case, you would only see the aqua excursions punching out of that band of color. That's why you would do it. You would know that that's a dropout color. If not, it would be white, and you'd have that whatever. See all the white that you see in here?
Yeah.
If you print that not as transparent, then all this is going to end up being white, which is not really a big problem if you're printing it against a white background. But the correct way to do it is to give it a transparent background. That's the whole purpose of using the EPS, is so that you get a transparent background. Okay?
Okay.
So EPS and PDF are the two types of file formats that you're going to use in InDesign. Now, I'm printing this. I'm actually proofing this in InDesign and PDF, so later on I can demonstrate this in InDesign. Okay? So let's do the other one now. Let's go File, Save As again. Now, wait a minute. We're still back with logo. Okay. Go Save As. And I'm going to come down here this time, and instead I'm going to change this to Adobe PDF. And once more, I'm going to go to the desktop, and I'm going to find my new folder, which is right there. Wait a minute. Exports right there. And Aqua Logo Pantone. See it? Aqua Logo Pantone PDF. And it's going to go in the exports on the desktop, right? And I'm going to hit Save. All right. So now we have the Save Adobe PDF dialog box. And let me talk to you a little bit about this. Once again, there's some stuff that you need to know. The first thing that you see is where it says Adobe PDF preset. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me drop this down and let me explain a little bit about these presets. The first one that you have is Illustrator Default. Illustrator Default is kind of a low resolution file. Okay. Then you have high quality print. High quality print, you remember, I don't know, maybe I haven't spoken to you about this. Did I mention to you that there are 3 different areas that you can be using this program to work in? The web, digital printing, and 4-color process printing, right? As a matter of fact, last week the question in one of your assessment questions, I believe, was what's the difference between digital printing and high color or high quality 4-color process printing? Remember?
No, that's this week's.
I thought it was last week. What was the next to last question?
No, I took the test today. It was this week's.
Oh, it's in this week's. Okay. All right. Well, let me quickly explain then to you what I'm talking about. When you're dealing with PDF, what you're doing is you're saving this as a document for a particular purpose. The smallest file size and the Illustrator Default are the smaller file sizes. They would be useful more for just demonstrating what you're doing. High quality print, if you are going to be creating a piece that's going to end up being printed by a colored digital copier, you guys know what I'm talking about when I say a colored digital copier, something like you would see in a Kinko's or a Staples. Are you guys familiar with Staples and Kinko's? Anybody? Do you guys have digital printing companies by you, like where you can go in and have color copies made, large quantities of color copies?
No, I live in a podunk town. We have Amish here. I mean.
Okay. Well, then you still have you have your podunk internet, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to go on your internet and you had to print, say, 2,500 four-color process sheets, but you wanted to do it off of color copies as opposed to four-color process printing, maybe save some money, you would use high-quality print for that. And the reason you use high-quality print is because you don't need the quality that you need in four-color process printing, which would be the press quality right there. So what we are going to be doing with this particular piece is we're going to be using this to be run off a press. So I'm going to choose press quality. Now watch what it says when I choose press quality. Use these settings to create Adobe PDF documents best suited for high quality pre-press printing. Creating PDF documents can be opened with Acrobat, Acrobat Reader, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point is that this is now going to be a high quality image, good enough to be used in a press environment, which even though this is a 3-color print job, you still want a high resolution on this. You want a high quality because this is going to need it in order for this to be very clean and very sharp. Okay? The only other thing that you have to worry about right now, unless your printer gives you special instructions, you don't have to worry about a standard or compatibility. Again, compatibility means just basically what version of Acrobat. The printer would have to tell you that. And this is basically defaulting to Acrobat 5. So the printer that I was telling you last week should have no trouble with Acrobat 5 because if he has CS5, he probably has Acrobat 5. So I could go to Acrobat 6, 7, or 8 if I want, but what it does is it defaults to one that they think is probably a lower version that makes it so that it's easier for you to not have to worry about this. And then, of course, there are different standards in here, and generally you don't have to worry about these unless your printer tells you specifically he wants one of these standards as opposed to none, which is what we're using right now. Okay? The only other thing that you have to worry about here is, see where it says preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. Now, do you think you want that or not? There's your question. Remember that this is a PDF. And if you do not want this to be opened in Adobe Illustrator and edited in any way, then you want to take this and remove that check. By removing that check, you cannot open this in Illustrator and edit it. It will become just a bitmap, and you will not be able to edit those individual elements. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you know what I'm talking about? So if I want it to be editable, I'm going to leave preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. And now by doing that, I could go in if I wanted to and open this thing in Illustrator, and I could convert it back into an actual Adobe Illustrator file, and I could do things with it. So it really comes down to what you want it to be able to do. You either want to make it editable or not. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm getting at with that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. The only other thing that I want to very quickly talk to you about right over here are marks and bleeds. And we have marks and bleeds. Right now, since this is going to be used in another piece of art, we are not going to apply any of this stuff because this is going to be used on screen. It's going to be used within the live area of the document. And if I put that in with these marks and bleeds, they would show up, and that would be no good. When we use marks and bleeds will be later on tonight when I show you how to export these files, okay? But for now, when you're working on something that's going to go inside your document, we do not mess with the marks and the bleeds. However, later on we will be, okay? So I'm going to go back to General, and I'm going to go Save PDF. And now it's saved my PDF. So let's quickly take a look in my little folder of exports, and you'll see right now that I have my Aqua Logo Pantone EPS right there. See it? And my Aqua Logo Pantone PDF. Same exact piece of art. One of them is an EPS, one of them is a PDF. Both of those two versions will work just fine in my Adobe InDesign document, and I will show you that a little later on tonight. That's all there is to it, guys. Remember, we are dealing with print production right now. We're not dealing with web. We're not dealing with digital printing. We're dealing with high-end print production. So what we're showing you here, what I'm showing you here, is how to set up a piece of art to be used later on in another piece of art, which is your business card. Okay? Good? This makes sense? Does it seem really difficult to you guys, or are you guys all right with it?
It's not too bad.
No? Okay, good. You think you understand the overall concept of this thing? I mean, again, we're dealing with print production, so the techniques that I'm showing you are not just used for this card. This is basically how you're going to be doing this for most all the pieces of art that you create that you're going to use in something like Adobe Illustrator. So this isn't something that, you know, it's just like a school project. The techniques behind this are the real techniques that you will be using as a graphic designer when you're working in a program like Adobe Illustrator to export a piece of art into some kind of a print environment. I don't care what it is. It could be anything. In this particular case, it's just a logo, but it could be anything. You're going to use these same techniques and the same logical thinking. What am I trying to do here with this? That's basically what it is. And the choices are for print, EPS, and PDF. All right? Let's go back to Illustrator for a second. And we're basically done with this for now. So I'm going to go to my Aqua card. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to actually show you how to prepare yourself this actual piece of art for your Aqua card. Okay? So remember a couple of things. First of all, we're going to create a new file. So I'm going to go in here and click New. And I get my new document dialog box. You guys have seen this, no doubt, right? I'm going to call this Aqua, A-Q-U-A, and I'm going to type in dash B-I-L-L. So I'm naming my document Aqua Bill. What I would like you to do is I would like you to name your document with your name and then Aqua Card. Okay? So maybe I'll do that. All right, I'm going to type Bill, B-I-L-L-S-W-E-E-N-E-Y, and then dash Aqua, A-Q-U-A-C-A-R-D. Okay, so this is more or less what I want you to do, name an Aqua card. The reason I do that is because I may keep a few of these if they come out really good. All right, any questions understanding how to name this? Got to be named like this so I know who you are. The next thing is the profile. This says custom right now. Let's see what kind of profiles that we have here. Okay, well, check them out. We have print, we have web, we have devices, video and film, basic RGB, Flash Builder. If we were going to be building something in Flash, we'd use Flash Builder. If we just needed basic RGB, we'd use RGB. That would be for web, or we could use this for web. Devices, we would be possibly using this for devices. Devices could be something like some kind of a specialty printer. Video and film, we might be using this particular setting. But we're going to be using print. And I'm going to click on print. So our profile will be print. Now, we have a couple of things that go on here I want to show you. Number of artboards. You guys know about artboards, right? You can have one artboard. You can have two artboards. I'm going to show you how to create two artboards because you may want to create two artboards instead of one artboard. I told you if you only produce a one-sided card, I'm good with that. As long as you send me a card that's beautifully done and correct, I'll be happy. If you do a second card, front and back, that will be lovely. You could do that as well. But just remember, it should be done correctly. So just for your benefit, I'm going to choose two. And the spacing is, I'm going to choose my columns to go, I'm going to choose mine to be arranged by column, which means that my artboards are going to be stacked one on top of another. And I'm going to change this to, I'm going to change this to 0.5, let's 0.75, 0.75 IN. Now 0.75 is equal to 3/4 of an inch. You know that, right? You know how to make the conversion from inches to do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Now I have the size here, and unfortunately, if you take a look here, I really don't have a business card size. See it? There isn't one there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and the first thing, see where it says units and it's set to points right now? I'm going to change that to inches because I prefer inches. And now you see how this is set up to inches instead of points. Now, the width of this is 3.5, so I'm going to change it from 8.5 to 3.5. And the height is 2. So the size of a business card will be 3.5 inches tall, wide by 2 inches tall. And the orientation we have here is either vertical, which is portrait, or horizontal, which is landscape. And notice, because I have a width of 3.5 inches and 2 inches high, that it automatically sets it up so that it's landscape. So all that's clear, right? You see how all this works, and basically you know what's going on with it? And this now says custom because I've actually put the numbers in here. Now, bleed. We talk about bleed. I talked to you about bleed a little bit earlier. Do you remember what, do you know what bleed actually is? When we're dealing with bleed, do you know what bleed is? When you have an element on your page that's going to run off the page, you're going to have it bleed. Now, check this out. I'm going to move this over a little bit so that you can see this. All right, here's my card. At the bottom here, do you see that blue bar that runs across the bottom? See it? That thing
That's the bleed.
bleeds here, here, and at the bottom. It doesn't bleed here because it goes up into the card and stops, but it bleeds off of the edge of the card, off of the edge of the card, and off the bottom of the card. That's a bleed. There is a normal bleed size, and that is 0.125. 0.125 is equal to 1/8 of an inch. And I want you to see over here, see that make all settings the same? If you were going to bleed this thing 3 ways, which I'm not gonna, I'm gonna bleed it 4 ways, you could just have it bleed off of the right and left and the bottom and not off the top. But I'm just gonna go ahead and let the bleed go all the way around. It's not gonna hurt anything. Now, the other thing that we have here is our color modes. Right now, leave it at CMYK for this particular application. But raster effects, what you want to do here, screen, medium, high. You want the high. You want to make sure it's set to high. Okay? Preview, I would leave the preview to default. Okay? So you're going to leave this alone. You're going to make sure, this is important, make sure that the raster effects is set up to 300 pixels per inch. That's the highest one that you can set up there. So any questions about any of this at all?
No.
No.
Okay. So watch now when I hit OK. There you go. Check it out. There are my 2 documents. And what you have here essentially is, just so that you know, the white area represents the card. The black line is where the card gets cut, trimmed out of the larger paper. This gray area represents the larger paper. This piece gets cut on that black line. See the red line? The red line represents the bleed. All right? Now, the only thing that's not here are the crop marks. And I'm going to show you how we create the crop marks for this. All right? So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go View, Zoom Out, and I'm going to get my line tool, line segment tool, and I'm going to come over here on my corner. I'm going to actually go right to the corner, the intersection point of the top left corner, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to drag a small line segment, just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, while it's selected, I'm just going to up arrow it until it just about hits the top of that bleed line. See how it is? It's right on that corner. That's my crop mark. I'm going to select it, go Edit Copy, Edit Paste in Place, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to hit the right arrow, and I'm going to move it all the way over to the other edge, right about there. That's probably right on the money. Close enough. And those are my 2 top crop marks. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Edit Copy, Edit Paste in Place, and now I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to just drag this down and bring it to about there. And I might, if I want, I could actually extend this, make it big enough so that it's actually for both. Look at that. See that? There we go. And now I'm going to go edit, paste in place again, and hold down the shift key, and I'm going to bring them all the way down to the bottom, like about, whoops, I went too far. And there I have my crop marks for the verticals. And now all I have to do are my crop marks for the horizontals. And I do that again by shift selecting and dragging out a little bit of a line again. Move the line where I want the line to be, right about there. Edit, copy, edit, paste in place. And I'm going to hold the shift key down and I'm going to drag it down to the bottom of the card right there. And then I'm going to, again, select both of these guys, edit, copy, edit, paste in place. And I'm going to hold down the shift key and I'm going to bring this down until it's on the other card. Went a little too far, and that's about right. So now I've got those done. Select all of them, edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and then I'm just going to hold down the shift key and bring this over to the other side, and there you go. Look at that. I have my crop marks, and I'm going to go File, Save, and now I'm going to save this Bill Sweeney Aqua card into exports as well, and save it as Illustrator CS6. And that, my friends, is how I want you to create your business card. Does that seem difficult? Now, this is Illustrator. I'm going to show you how to do it in InDesign next, but I just want you to know how to do it in Illustrator for those of you who choose to do it in Illustrator. But you guys are okay with this? Do you understand what I just did? Or are there any questions at all about it?
Nope.
No? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly show you a couple of things. First, what I'm going to do is come back to my Aqua logo Pantone. And I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go Edit, Copy. And then I'm going to come to my card, and I'm going to go Edit, Paste. And there's my Aqua logo. And I'm going to bring my Aqua logo up to about, oh, I don't know, maybe right there. Okay? So there's my Aqua logo. Now what I want to show you is, on my original card, if you take a look at my original card, let's see, where is it? There it is. If you take a look at my original card, I got that band across the bottom there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab my plain ordinary rectangle tool. And I'm going to come over onto where the bleed is. And I'm going to click and I'm going to drag all the way across to the other bleed and on the bottom as well. See it? So I've got this right about there, and it's going down to about the bleed. I could probably make that a little bit better on the line. There we go. Did I get it on there or not? Yeah, I did. There we go. Now I did. All right. So now that I've done that, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get my swatches. Now, check it out. Once again, because this file is a new file, what happened to my swatches panel? All my colors are back, aren't they? So what do I want to do, guys? Somebody tell me.
You want to clear all those swatches out and
How do I do
pull
it?
out Pantones.
And
Go to your drop-down menu.
Yep, I'm doing it. What now?
Oh, God.
select all unused.
Yeah.
That?
Yep.
Okay. Now what?
Garbage bin.
Bingo. And there you go. Look at that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect that, click on this, and hit delete. And delete. Okay. Now I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to reselect my little shape. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click that nice blue. So now I have basically, take a look, that element and that element. The rest of this basically is just coming in here and doing things like, oh, I don't know, you know, putting a rule in here, a vertical rule down like that, and making sure that the stroke is forward and making sure that it's set to black. Okay, see where I'm going with this? And then basically what I'm going to do is come in here and I'm going to click on the type, click here, and I'm going to type Bill Sweeney and then CEO, and I'm going to move this down a little bit, okay, so that I'm in the area of the card. I got to be careful not to get too close to these edges. Remember, you don't want to get your elements too close to the edges. Of course, this one is okay because it's going to bleed, right? The reason that you've got this going out to this red line is that this is going to actually bleed across the entire piece of your card. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so in order to do that, you want to make sure that you have a good amount of that color going outside the card here, here, and here, so that it will cleanly cut. But now let's just check this. So I got my text here, and what I want to do with this is I want to come up here, and I want to get this thing to be, I guess Myriad Pro is the color I wanted. I mean, the font that I want. Myriad Pro, but I think what I had here was Medium Pro Semi-Bold. That's what I think it was. That was Myriad Pro Semi-Bold. Whoops. Myriad Pro Semi-Bold. Yeah, and this was Myriad Pro Italic, I think. And this was, I think it was 12 point, and I think this was 10 point. Okay? Did I get it?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to make it 9 point. There we go. Okay, so you see where I'm going here? The bottom line is that you're going to come in and you're going to put your logo in and you're going to create a layout for a card. Does it have to look like my layout? No, of course not. You can do whatever you want. What I'm trying to do is, in the short period of time that I have, I'm trying to show you a little bit about how I would go about creating this very same card in Adobe Illustrator. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to export this and show you what I get when I prepare this to be sent to me, Bill, the instructor for grading. Then I'm going to go into InDesign, and I'm going to show you how to set up the same document in Adobe InDesign. And I'm going to show you what happens in a different way when you bring the artwork into InDesign. Okay? So I just want to make sure that you guys are absolutely clear on what you need to be sending me. This is what I need to be seeing. You need to be doing these things. And it really is not that difficult. It's mostly done on the file New Document dialog box. And then, of course, these elements here, you actually go in and you create those elements using the line tool. Now, let me show you another interesting little trick. I got that one little line selected. I'm going to lock this. Watch this. I'm going to go Object, Lock, Selection. So that one's locked, okay? Locked. And I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go Select, Same, where you go, Stroke Color. And notice that all of my lines all select. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go Object, Group. So now what I've done essentially is I've grouped all those objects. I can't select one. The only way I can select one, obviously, would be to come over here and get the group selection tool. So in other words, they all, if I click on one of these, I'm going to get them all. All right? And ultimately, I'm going to go Object, Unlock All. Now, the other thing that you might want to do, and this is something just so that you know, I have a layer here, and I'm going to call this the card layer, C-A-R-D, the card layer. And I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this the crop marks, crops, okay? And I'm going to drag the crop layer down below the card layer, and I'm going to come in here and click on my crop, and I'm going to drag that down to my crop mark layer. So you see now when I hide the crop mark layer, see what's happening? It hides the crop marks. I can now come in here and I can lock the crop mark layer, and I no longer can select those crop marks.
So that way you don't accidentally.
Yeah. So in other words, what I'm doing basically is I'm trying to explore a number of different possibilities in a logical way to give you a better look at this wonderful program, Adobe Illustrator. I love this program, Illustrator, and I really hope that when you're done with me, your love for this program will grow. This program will do an awful lot of great things for you. But the only way
I love this program.
Huh?
I already love this program.
Yeah, so you're seeing things that you basically know how to do, but when you start thinking as a professional graphic designer, these are all the things that you should be thinking about regularly. And all of this is just so you can kind of organize yourself and make sure that you're building a workflow that's easy for you to deal with. It's not that difficult to do. It doesn't even take that much time. It's all just a matter of setting it up and following a certain kind of course. That's my job, is to show you the possible course that you should go in and hope you see the benefit of it and you use it. Okay? Because this is how I would handle something like this. And again, I'm not saying I would normally go in and create this card in Adobe Illustrator. I'm giving it to you as an option. So my feeling about this is, if I'm going to give you this as an option, then I'm going to show you the best way to go about doing it so that you have the most fun doing it and you're not tearing your hair out. You know what I mean? If you follow the directions that I did with this, in the end, you probably will not tear your hair out. You'll find that it's not that difficult to do. Okay? Any questions about this? Are we good? Happy? If you want, I mean, you can even go further with this. You could come in here and you could create another layer. Let's create a layer above the card layer. Let's call this layer Elements, ELEMENTS, and let's call this layer Text, TEXT. And what we could do is we could click on Bill Sweeney CEO, and we could move that up to the text layer. And now I have a layer that I can put all my text on, and I have a layer that my elements are on, and these are elements. This is an element, that's an element, that's an element. So you see what I'm saying? It all depends on you, how far you want to go with this. As far as the printer is concerned, it's not a big deal because he probably will not get into the layering of this. He's more concerned about the output. That's the next thing that we're going to do, is we're going to take a look at the output of this. Okay, so the output of this will be to Adobe PDF. So what I want to do is I want to create for you two PDFs. I want to create a PDF from this file, and I also want to create a PDF from this file. All right, actually, you know what I think I'm going to do to make this easier? I'm going to go Edit Copy and move over to here and go Edit Paste in Place. And oops, guess what? It didn't really paste it in place. Let's move it over to there. That's good right there. Okay, that'll work. And I actually got this guide, and I don't want the guide. Let's see if I can get rid of that guide. View guides, hide guides. There we go. Okay, so now I got what looks more like a full card, don't I? Looks pretty good. Looks like a real card, doesn't it? So I actually don't think I need this. No, I don't think I need it. I think I can show you with this one. All right, so now I have my full card. This is what my card will look like. Your card will look like whatever you want. The elements that I'm looking for, and remember what I told you, you know, I have a text elements on my text layer, my visual elements are on my visuals layer, and my crops are on my crops layer. All right? And this is just a good way to work. The bottom line is that what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a card that, even if it doesn't have a back side, has a front side that has a name and what is the person's role in the company. I've repeated the name Aqua Excursions. I've given it an address. It can be a made-up address. I've given it a phone number, which is essentially a made-up phone number. And I've created a email address. So these are the kind of things, and of course the logo. These are the basic things that you would find on a business card. This is what I'm looking for. So whether you do two sides, you come up with something for the back, or whether you just do one side, which is what I've done here, that's really what I'm interested in, is that you give me what looks like a really nice card. Okay? Any questions? No?
Nope.
You guys think you could do this okay?
Pretty
Yeah.
Okay. The important thing to remember about this is, I'm going to close this layers down because I'm done with it, and that color I'm done with. The important thing for you to remember is that I'm working with, and actually it looks like I got a problem here. Let me see something. That is my, I don't want that. That is my blue. And let me see this color. Is that the right color blue?
No.
It's not. That's the right color. There we go. Okay, this is important. What I just did, this was a different color from another project. So what I want you to keep in mind that these colors have to be the right colors. When I brought this text in, it was a different color. That's a different color than that color right there. See the difference? 647 3015. So this color is no good. I'm going to click on it, hit delete, get rid of it, and hit yes. So basically, what you have to remember is whatever you do, the colors have to be correct. They have to be Pantone colors for this card. All right?
Okay.
All right. It's very critical that you do that because somebody has already submitted one of their business cards thinking that they could just get away with taking the logo the way it is, putting it in and sending it in as a card. You can't. You really have to have this as a 3-color job. And actually, I just screwed this up. Let me fix it. Let me fix this. This actually all should be black. There we go. So there we go. And I'm going to go File, Save. There we have it. There we go. Okay, so this is actually what this card should look like. And it should be, that should be one of the spot colors. That should be a spot color. That should be a spot color. That's a spot color. That's a spot color. And then that's black. And again, the printers, it'll be his problem to figure this out. So this is done correctly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this as a PDF. So I'm going to go, once again, File, Save As. And I'm going to come in here, and this is Bill Sweeney Aqua card. I'm going to change it to PDF, and I'm going to call this Aqua instead of card. I'm going to call this Final, Final. The only reason I'm doing this is because see where it says Aqua logo Pantone? This is going to be Aqua Card Final, and I'm going to call this Save, and I get my Adobe PDF dialog box. And remember what I told you about in here. You're definitely going to click on this and you're going to go to Press Quality. Okay, that's a definite. And here you're going to use the standard that you're given. In this case, none's given, so we're going to leave it as none. Remember Acrobat PDF, whatever version was given. In this case, I'm just going to leave it to 5. This isn't going to really be printed. This is going to be something that we are primarily going to just have me look at. All right, now you can leave preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. Here's where marks and bleeds come in. What you want to do here is you want to come in and you want to use the bleed settings. All right, and what you want to do here is want to make sure that we get, let's see. Use document bleed settings. Yep. And let's see, do I have anything else I need? I think that might do it. Let's try Save PDF. And now let's take a look and see what our PDF looks like. So I'm going to bring this down, exports. I'm going to find my Bill Sweeney Aqua Final. Double click on it, open it up in. There we go. You see the little bleed marks up in here? Actually, what's happening is I'm losing them. So let's close this and let's see if I can get this working a little bit better. Let's go back into this. Let's go File, Save a Copy, and Adobe PDF. I'm going to hit Save. You know what? I gotta remove that. Yeah, actually, I'll save the copy so I can see what I get. See if I can get this any better. Hit Save. There we go. And marks and bleeds. I'm not seeing where I can get my
Printer's marks for your trim.
I actually want my, I don't want the printer's marks though, because I really what I want is I want to get this thing to show me some well, let's try it with the printer's marks. Let's see what we get. Let's try it with the printer's marks. Let's save it and let's see if this comes out a little bit better. All right, now let's try it. Let's see. I think it's that one. There we go. Okay, so there we go. So what we end up having here is we end up with our printer's marks. Now, let me also go back in here and let's do this one more time because I want to show you something else. So last time I did this, go File, Save As, and this is going to be Final, and I'm going to call this _3. This is the third one. Hit Save. Okay, so let me tell you what else happened to me when I did this last time. Hit Save. Okay, So I'm going to come in here and make sure that I get this to press quality and leave the rest of this alone. And I'm going to come to marks and bleeds. All printers. Now, here's the thing. The last time, the printer told me that he did not want the color bars and he did not want the page information. So what the printer said he wanted, and this printer wasn't printing a business card, but what he was printing was a product sheet. You guys know what a product sheet is, a sell sheet? Anybody? No? Think of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that has information and pictures on it, product information about a particular product. That's basically a product sheet. So it's not that difficult or not that different from a business card, except, of course, the size of it. So what he was telling me was he didn't want the color bars or the page information, the trim marks, registration marks. So again, one of the reasons that I'm mentioning this to you is because if I had submitted those color bars and page information, it wouldn't have hurt him, but he didn't want them, and I look more professional by removing them if he asks for them to be removed. So I'm going to now hit Save PDF, and let's take a look at that and see if I get anything different out of that. Come in here, and I think that's it. That's it. Of course, I still got my registration marks, so maybe I didn't remove them. Is that 3? Yeah, 3. Okay, so I evidently left the registration marks on it, and I don't think he wanted them either. Okay, so I could have removed them. But you get the idea. In other words, you choose what you need to put into your card when it comes to printing marks. You have choices. You can deselect or select whatever you want, or whatever you're asked to put in. All right, but the bottom line is you definitely want crop marks, and you definitely want bleed marks. All right, everybody cool with this?
Yeah.
You good? No questions, right?
No questions. Sorry, I forgot I was muted.
All right.
No
Well, I'm just asking general, trying to give you the opportunity to ask me something if you feel you need to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move into the next section of this, which is Adobe InDesign. And again, I kind of would like it to use Adobe InDesign. I'm not going to make you use Adobe InDesign. It's totally up to you whether you do. But let me show you a little bit about Adobe InDesign because this is what I would like you to be working in. And if you don't use it, that's okay, but you should know how to set this thing up. Let me try to get this window sized a little bit. Oh, there we go. Now it's moving in. Didn't want to do that a minute ago. Okay, here we go. All right, so we have our most important thing for you to understand is that I have my Pages panel open, I have my swatches open, and I have my links open. There are 3 things that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be examining my pages because I'm going to make 2 pages. I'm going to be modifying my swatches. I haven't created a document yet, but I want you to notice that even like in Adobe Illustrator, see how I get these colors in here? These colors don't mean anything to me. I don't really want those colors. So I'm just pointing this out to you. Now I want to also show you up here, you might know this or you might not know this. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go to, let's see, I'm going to go to digital publishing. All right, and it's going to change. See how my panels changed here? And I got all these different panels and things. What I did was I saved my own workspace, and I'm going to call it Bill. And when I change it to Bill, I get pages, swatches, and links. Oh, I also have link information with links up to the link panel. So in other words, when I'm working on this particular kind of project, these are the 3 things I'm most concerned about, okay? So I want to make sure that they're out, and I can actually save this. Has anyone ever shown you how to save a workspace like this?
No.
No? It's simple. All you got to do really is go to after you get your panels, like let me go back to this. Let's go back to advanced. Let's go to advanced this time. Okay, so now I'm in advanced. There's my links, right? There's my pages. And what was the other one I said I had? Links, pages, and swatches. There. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close all of those. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put my pages and my links and my swatches. There I have my 3 panels. This is what I want to save. All right? So I get rid of everything I don't want, and I just save what I do want. And now I'm going to come over to the window menu, and I'm going to come down to, wait a minute. It is here, this one. New workspace, it's under advanced. Go into new workspace. And this one, I'm not going to call it Bill. I'm going to call it Will, W-I-L-L, because I already got one called Bill. So I'm going to call this one Will. And I'm going to hit OK. And now Will is showing. So if I want, I can come in here and go advanced, and it brings me to advanced. And I guess it's based on advanced, so I modified advanced. I'm going to reset advanced. There. So now advanced is reset. See what I did? I reset it. But I'm going to go to Bill, and there's Bill, open. And let's go to Will, and there's Will. There it is. Okay? So basically, that's all there is to it, really, is you just decide what panels you want to be showing. I like Bill better because it's open. The panels are open. And then you just save it. This way, whenever I come in here and I'm getting ready to work on something, I can just drop this down and make it go to Bill, and I got the 3 panels that I want to have open. Now, I can open up any of these other panels that I want as I choose to, but the ones that I generally always use in here are swatches, links, and pages. Okay? Any questions about that?
No.
All right. So now the next step is we're going to create a document. We can create either a document, a book, or a library. We don't want to create a book. We want to create a document here. So I'm going to click on Create New Document. And I get the New Document dialog box. Just like any other program in Illustrator, like Illustrator or in Photoshop, we get a New Document dialog box. And I'm going to call this one the preset. Actually, the preset, I'm not going to, I'll leave it alone. Intent is print. Number of pages are 2, starting pages. Oh, and this is, notice that this facing pages is not checked. What facing pages mean, and I've actually created a couple of single documents, single-sided documents, and that's why facing pages is deselected. But usually by default, facing pages is selected. If you take a book and you start looking through the pages of a book, you've got a page on your left and a page on your right. Those are what are known as facing pages. But when you're working on a number of pages like I am, which are 2, and here's the page size, and here they do have a U.S. business card. See what they have here, a U.S. business card? So I'm going to click on that. So what I'm doing basically is I'm working with print, and the number of pages, there are 2 of them. They do not face each other. And the size is a business card size. The width is 3.5, and the height is 2 inches. The number of columns, I'm going to make this just 1 column. 1 column. And I'm not going to give it any gutter. Now, at the top, what I want is about 1/8. So I'm going to put in 1, 2, and it's going to actually be 1/2/5 of an inch. Notice that I have this little check mark here, and the little check mark is selected. You can tell it's selected because it's indented. Can you see that? And when I click on my next one, the bottom, you see how they all change to 1.25? I'm sorry, 0.125 inch, which is 1/8 of an inch. I'm saying I want to leave a margin around the outside of 1/8 of an inch. The bleed, it's the same thing with the bleed. The bleed is going to be 1/8 of an inch for bleed. That's going to be outside the printed card. Now, have you ever heard of the term slug?
No.
In printing, a slug is an area of space on the outside of your printed card that you allow to put any kind of information for the printer. And the only reason that I'm putting a slug into this is so that you can see it. I'm not going to put, I've broken the link. See how I've broken the link? And I've broken the link, which means essentially I'm only going to have the slug in one place. I'm going to put the slug on the right-hand side of the card, and I'm going to make the slug 2.5, 2.5 inches. Okay? So there's your new document. The intent is print. The number of pages are 2. They do not face. There's a U.S. business card is the size. 3.5 wide and it's showing you the icon for landscape. 2, number of columns, there's only one column, and the margins are going to be an 1/8 of an inch all the way around. The bleed is going to be an 1/8 of an inch all the way around. There's going to be a slug of 2.5 inches on the right-hand side. Okay? Good, okay.
All right.
And bingo, there you go. View, fit, let's see, actual entire pasteboard. There we go. I'm going to go zoom out. Let me zoom out so I can show you this. View, zoom out. There they are. There you have your 2 pages. Now, let me show you exactly what we just did. The black line, you see the little black line there?
Yeah.
That black line represents the size of the card. That is where it's going to cut out of the bigger piece of paper, which is represented by this white area out here. You see that blue line that reaches all the way over there? That's that slug area I was telling you about. It's 2.5 inches of slug area, and it's on both sides, the front and the back. Remember, I did 2 of these because you may choose to do 2, and you may choose to use this program. So I want to make sure that you know how to do this. There's your bleed. Remember, the red line means bleed. Anything that is going to bleed off the page, you have to have a bleed for. Okay? So there's your bleed. And that purple line that you see there is your margin. Why do I put a margin there? I put a margin because in reality, you do not want to put anything closer to that edge of the page where it's going to trim than an 1/8 of an inch. So you want to make sure that any elements that you put in here are at least an 1/8 of an inch away from where it's going to cut out. Because this is what's going to happen. This black line, it's actually going to cut there, cut out right there. You're not going to see the black line. That's where it's going to cut out. So you don't want anything too close to that or it could cut. Unless, of course, it's bleeding. Then it's fine. And then you run it out to the bleed and it'll trim to that edge beautifully. Okay? So is this making sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, a couple of real quick things. In your page layout, there is your page number 1 and there is your page number 2. And if you want, you know, you could come in here and then the next thing that we want to do is you want to deal with your colors. So as I told you, you have these colors here. They don't mean anything to you. This does. None means something to you. Registration means something to you. Paper and black, they all mean something to you. These colors don't mean a thing. So what you generally do is start off by selecting one, which I did by clicking. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, come here and click and select all those colors, hit the garbage can, and they're gone. Okay? Very much like I did in Adobe Illustrator. Okay? Good with me so far?
So far.
All right. Now, I want to show you something. I'm going to start off by creating actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go File, Place. And oh, you know what? Here, let me do this. File, Save As. And I'm going to go to the desktop, and I'm going to go into my Aqua AI, no, Exports. That's where I was. There you go, Export. And I'm going to name this my Bill, B-I-L-L, S-W-E-N-E-Y, and then dash Aqua, A-Q-U-A, C-A-R-D, dot, there we go, and hit save. And look at Bill Sweeney Aqua Card INDD. Okay? Now I'm going to go File, Place, and I'm going to go into my desktop, and I'm going to find my exports, and I have a choice. Remember I told you, I have a choice. I can use either the Aqua Logo Pantone or the Aqua Logo Pantone PDF. This is the EPS, this is the PDF. And what I really want to do is I want to show you them both. So I'm going to start off by grabbing the Aqua Logo Pantone, click on it, and I'm going to hit Open. And you see how it loads into my little cursor here? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did they talk to you about that before? How that does that? Then I'm going to come over here, click, and I'm going to drag out a box to about, oh, I don't know, maybe like that. And there you go. There's my Aqua logo. It's been placed into my document. And I want to show you something. Look in the links palette down here. One of the reasons that I have this links palette open is so I could show you the Aqua logo Pantone EPS now has been linked into this file. And see that right there, that little symbol? That little symbol tells you that that file is linked there. Here's the thing that you have to understand about Adobe InDesign. We're going to talk about this next week again because we're going to use the program to create this brochure next week. Whenever you bring an element into an Adobe InDesign project such as this, it doesn't automatically embed the file. It links to the file. And one of the reasons that in the end you collect for output, which you're going to do for the final assignment, which is your brochure, is you're going to collect for output. And you do that right here. Go File, Package. And what package does essentially, have you guys, when you had your class, did they make you package anything?
Unfortunately.
Yes?
It was a pain in the Yes.
Oh, they did.
It was a pain in the neck.
It was a pain in the neck. But do you understand why you did it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So hopefully after we do it this week for our next project, and I explain it to you again the second time, hopefully you won't find it as such a pain in the neck. Because actually, in reality, it's not that much of a pain in the neck, really. It's actually very simple. And it's just a matter of checking some stuff. That's really all it is. It's not that hard. So again, I don't know, I don't know what happened with your class and why you had the feeling that it was such a pain in the neck. I don't think it's that much of a pain in the neck. I think you'd be surprised in reality how simple it actually is. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate a little bit of what I did in the other Adobe Illustrator. Oh, and by the way, take a look at this. If you really get in here and take a look at that, that logo looks pretty terrible, doesn't it?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. But if you go up,
Pixelated.
if you go to the View menu and you come down to Display Performance and you come over to High Quality Display, it comes out looking beautiful.
Yay.
View, page, and window. See how beautiful that looks? It looks just like Adobe Illustrator. So all I want you to understand is when you look at something that looks like this, it has what's known as typical display. And that's kind of just like an energy saver. So I don't know, maybe part of the problem, a couple of you said you had problems with the program choking on you when you were working on it.
Oh, it didn't choke. It crashed my computer.
It did. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have it in high quality display when it crashed the computer?
Yep.
Okay, that might be why. And maybe what you want to do is not use high quality display. That's the first thing. What else can I suggest? Also, when you were working with the file that crashed your computer, was it a very complicated production?
Yes.
Well, that's probably
It was
why.
our menu. It was our 8-page menu.
Yeah, that's probably why. There was a lot. What you're going to be doing next week, we're going to be working on a trifold brochure. And yeah, it is a little bit complicated, but it is not as complicated as an 8-page brochure. I'm hopeful. If I were you, I would definitely try, because you're going to have to use InDesign next week. This would be this would be a great time for you to kind of, get used to working with this a little bit. I'm looking at this logo and I'm thinking to myself, the logo looks a little bit bigger than I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to drag that box a little bit smaller, okay? Notice when I do this, the actual image in the background kind of gets chopped off. That's easy to fix if you go to the View menu and you're going to go to the, Object, Fitting, Fit Content Proportionately, and it adjusts to the size of your box. Okay? Did you understand what I just did?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to show you is, remember we took all those colors out, right?
Thank God.
Check it out.
Yes.
Pantone
Thank you for
76.
telling us how to do that.
Yeah,
You
look
have no idea.
Look it. Check it out.
Such
It,
a
well,
pain in the neck.
I didn't tell you. It just does it. That's the point. There's nothing to tell you. It just does it. You know why it does it? It does it because it is a Pantone color, and it has to bring the Pantone color in order for this to work. So since this is set up as a Pantone color, those colors will automatically come in here for you to use. So now what I want to do is I want to come down here and I want to make a box, and the box is going to bleed off the sides and the bottom. So I'm going to come across and I'm going to drag to make myself this little box, and then I'm going to click on my Pantone color for the fill, and bingo, there you go. Look at that. How about that? You zoom out. Look at that. Whoops, what happened here? Zoom out. Let's go fit artboard and window. Page and window. There we go. Okay. Evidently, it's not going to zoom out the way I want it to. So now I have my, it's probably a little bit thicker than I want it to be. So let me bring that down just a bit. And let me bring this down just a bit. Okay, so now I have my piece of art. You see where it goes? It goes out to the bleed. It goes out to the bleed. It goes out to the bleed. When this thing trims, it's going to nicely trim blue across the bottom. Then I have my Aqua Excursion logo sitting here. And remember what I told you. I got this purple line because I don't want to get, look, if I do this, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this right over to the edge. If I go that close, that could slightly shift and it could cut the bottom of that logo off. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you're no further than that line with any element. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and get my rule tool, my line tool. I'm going to click, hold down the shift key, and I'm going to drag a line down. And I'm going to make that black. And I'm going to make the size of it 0.5, which is a half a point. And I'm going to move this over a little bit like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, I'm going to click, and I'm going to type. Oh, I have to drag a box. I almost forgot. This is an Illustrator. And I'm going to type in Bill Sweeney. Bill Sweeney. And then I'm going to type in CEO. Okay? Now I'm going to select this. I do not want Minion Pro. I want Myriad Pro. And I mean, I'm not telling you you have to use Myriad Pro. I have decided that I want to use Myriad Pro. Okay? I like that font. I think it's a nice, clean font. So I'm going to choose Myriad Pro. And this is going to be 12 point. And this, I believe I made 9 point. So I'm going to drop it down to 9 point. And I think I made it italic. So I'm going to drop that down to italic. And I think this is semi-bold. And I'm going to make that semi-bold. There we go. Okay? So now if you take a look at this, there is my card, and I'm well underway of building my card. Now all I got to do is put the rest of the information over here. Okay? Any questions with any of this so far? Do you guys think that you can handle this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's 45. We got 15 minutes left. Now, the important thing, if you think you can handle this, what I want to do is I want to show you how to export this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this down for a minute. I'm going to open up exports, and I'm going to create a new folder. Called this Illustrator, ILLUSTRATOR. All the things that came from Illustrator, with the exception of that, are going to go in there. Okay? And my Aqua card, my Aqua logo Pantone, no, cancel. There we go. There we go. All right, so I'm leaving these two things out here. Oh, and there's one other thing I wanted to show you. So basically what I've left out is I've left out my Aqua card InDesign, and I've left out my Aqua logo Pantone EPS, both because they're being used right now, okay? Now, I told you that the logo here, let me go to the View menu, and let's go to Display Performance, High Quality Display. Remember what I told you about an EPS? What I want to do is I want to change this to black. Okay, and I want to click on this, and I want to drag this thing all the way up to here. And I want to go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Okay, so do you see I'm going to go to the View menu and hide frame edges. Okay, see what happens with the EPS? What do you notice about the aqua logo with the excursions over there? Talk to me.
It doesn't have the white background
Why do you think that is?
because it's transparent.
That's right. So you see what I was talking about when I was talking about an EPS. An EPS can give you and will give you a transparent background. So if you decide, for whatever reason, creatively, that you would like that logo to be sitting across or down in front of something black like that, that's a perfect reason to have that EPS like that. Okay? But we're not going to do that. I'm going to go Control Z to bring it back. That's what I want it to look like. Okay? So that's it. That's all that I want to show you. If I were to bring in my PDF, it would look exactly the same as this, and it would function exactly the same way. Not going to bother doing that. You can do that when you go to play with this. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to save this. So what I'm going to come down here is I'm going to come down to Export, and notice that I'm going to go to Desktop, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to find my exports, and it's a Bill Sweeney Aquacard PDF and Adobe PDF print, and I'm going to hit Save. All right, now here we go. This is the Adobe PDF. We're going to do something very similar to this, except of course that this is going to be for final printing and not for insertion into another document. So what we have going on here is we have the standard, which we're not going to change unless we're told to change it. The compatibility we're going to leave basically unless somebody asks us to change it. And I just want to keep reminding you of this, that at some point it is a good idea to talk to the printer that's going to be printing this job, and ask them questions about this stuff. You really should know to do this. It's important, okay? And what else do we got here? We have our pages. We're going to print all the pages, okay? And we're not going to worry about any of this stuff here. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Marks and Bleeds. Now, what the printer told me that he didn't want, and I'm going to use what the printer told me he didn't want. He didn't want page information. He didn't want color bars, and he didn't want registration marks. What he wanted was crop marks and bleed marks. So essentially, for this guy, I'm going to just print crop marks and bleed marks. I am going to use the document bleed settings, because remember when I set up this document, did I set up document bleed settings? Yes or no?
Yes.
I did, didn't I?
Yes.
How about slug area?
You use that too, so keep
Right. So you see what it says here, include slug area? So if I want to keep that slug area, I'm going to choose that. I didn't put anything in the slug area. So I think what I'm going to do, just for the heck of it, to see how it works out, I'm going to deselect include slug area. So now what should happen is we shouldn't see that slug area. And I'm going to hit export. And now if I come up here and I go into my exports, I should find, where did it go? Where did it get saved to? Oh, there it is. It was writing it. There it is. Now I should be able to double click on that and it should open up. And there you go. Look at that. There is my card. And there are my, see these two lines right there? Those are my bleed marks. See those lines right there? Those are my crop marks. There is my element bleeding off the page, 3 ways. There's my text placed where I wanted it. And there's my aqua excursions. And I have page 1, page 2. There's nothing on page 2, but there is page 1. And that is what you should be sending me, and that's what it should look like. Not too difficult, is it?
No.
No? Okay, so guess what? It is now 9:50. I'm basically done with this. So I'm going to open the session up to you guys. You guys can ask me anything that you want. Talk to me in any way that you need to talk to me right now. If not, I'm going to end it for tonight. So go ahead. Anything?
Nothing I can come up with.
No questions at all?
Nope.
Okay.
All good.
Nope.
I think I'm good.
All right. Then you guys know what you got to do. You got to do me a nice little business card. I don't care how much mine makes you look. You could make it look like mine if you want, or you could make your own exactly the way you want it to look. The most important thing for you to remember is that you want to do this from a production standpoint the correct way. You're going to choose colors that are Pantone colors, just the way we did tonight. You're going to modify your logo and make the logo fit within the artboard size and export it in a file format that makes sense for the production that you're going to be doing, which will be a business card. And ultimately, I would very much like you to work in InDesign, and I think you can see that by me doing mine in InDesign, it wasn't all that difficult to do, and I think you guys could probably do it without any trouble. So I would kind of like to have you do that, but if you were to do it in Adobe Illustrator, I would not be terribly upset because it does tell you that you could use Illustrator. It's totally up to you. And then, of course, again, if you follow the directions, then you'll set it up so that you'll have your bleed marks and your trim marks the way you need them, and then send it to me as an Adobe PDF. That's it for tonight, my friends. I am going to go up, and I'm going to stop recording.